How did you learn about us?
Do you have any questions that you'd like us to answer during the webinar?
So we've got Clinton and Stephen and Vivica and Adrienne. Let us know if you can't hear. This is Vivica, so let me know if you can hear me loud and clearly. And Adrienne, why don't you say something? Let's see if they can hear you loud and clearly.
Can you hear me? This is Adrienne.
And how about you, Stephen and Clinton?
Yes, we are loud and clear, everybody. So yes, we do have some questions coming in saying yes, I can hear, we can hear. So
Good.
good. So we are all good to go then. So there we go. So ladies and gentlemen, welcome and a good day to everybody wherever you're joining us from. Welcome to this webinar of URL to IRL and social selling in real life. Techniques that work out of LinkedIn, converting people on LinkedIn's URL to trusted relationships in real life. It's great. It's amazing to see the number of attendees today, and that's all because of our eminent speakers that we have today. And to kick off with, we have Vivica Van Rosen, is a Forbes top 20 women in social media and Forbes top 50 most influential people in social media since 2011 to 2014. And she's also an author of the bestseller of LinkedIn's Marketing an Hour a Day. She's a successful entrepreneur and a nationally renowned LinkedIn expert and trainer and social media and a keynote speaker. So ladies and gentlemen, please make maximum use of Viveka on today's webinar. Put in all your questions you would like to know about LinkedIn and their marketing, and she would be more than happy to help you. We also have one more. We have another speaker is Adrienne, and Adrienne is nationally renowned referral marketing consultant and a speaker who teaches business owners and executives on how to sell in less time. She puts business owners and executives on paths towards greater referrals and additional business from existing clients and customers. So we also have Clinton Rosario, and he's been with eGrabber for the past 9 years, and he's architect most of our flagship products, and he even manages the products personally. So any questions about eGrabber, Clinton would clear them for you, and he'll be more than happy to help you out with them. Okay, a little bit about myself. I'm Stephen Castor, your moderator for today. I've been a trainer for the past 18 years, and I've trained more than 10,000 trainees. So very happy to be here on board, and very happy to welcome all of you. So Adrienne, just a little bit of housekeeping tips. So this is your question log. Put in your questions, and we would take them one by one. We will address them one by one. It could be Clinton, Adrienne, or Viveka, or myself who would be addressing your questions, and we'll take it from there. So, ladies, I take it up. Adrienne, the stage is all yours. Take it away. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning and welcome to our webinar. I am thrilled to introduce my friend and colleague Vivica Van Rosen. Vivica and I go back a few years, not to the dark ages, but a few years. And there was a time when she was an executive director of an office suites company. And she invited me to come in and do monthly seminars on marketing for the people who use the office suites. And that's how we got to know each other. And I decided I was going to love Vivica forever because she actually sat in on the seminars. She didn't just schedule them and then have something else to do. She is brilliant. She is an absolutely incredible LinkedIn specialist. She is an author. She travels worldwide to show people how to work on LinkedIn. And I am just thrilled to introduce my friend and colleague, Vivica Van Rosen.
Oh, thank you so much. And I am thrilled to introduce Adrienne. And yes, Adrienne knew me before I was, quote, the LinkedIn expert. And she really opened my eyes to the power of marketing, but the power of face-to-face marketing and the power of networking. And you know, I usually credit LinkedIn to doubling our business in a year doing doing face-to-face networking, but really it was Adrienne who taught me how to do that face-to-face network and how to convert those prospects, you know, over lunch or at a networking event into real clients. And then of course LinkedIn exploded that because your network base increases exponentially. But I really wanted to bring Adrienne in because she's got deep knowledge on what really works in business, which is the human connection. And I think in this world of social media and internet marketing and funnels and conversion, it's all about how big are your numbers and how many people can you connect with and how many followers do you have. But none of that matters, guys. None of that matters if you're not actually connecting with people. And a lot of times that means meeting them at least over the phone, voice to voice, right? Or better yet, face to face. So that's where Adrienne just shines. And I really wanted to bring her in because that might be one of my weakest areas, but it's absolutely one of her strongest areas. So that's what we're going to cover today, is how to use LinkedIn to find these prospects, but then how do you actually turn them into clients? So that is
Thank
my
you,
friend
Vivica.
Adrienne Zobel.
Thank
All right,
you.
let's go ahead and hit the next one. So we're going to get active on Twitter. If you are on Twitter today, I've actually already pulled up a TWUBS for us, and I'll put that into the chat box, guys, if you want to share that with everyone, or I might be able to. Let's see here. But we're going to be chatting about this on Twitter if you want to. So guys, if you can share that link using the hashtag URL to IRL. So if you hear anything today that you like and you want to share it with your network on Twitter, use hashtag URL to IRL. Ironically, wouldn't it be great if we could actually do this on LinkedIn, but they don't have a chatting, they don't have any kind of chatting system other than WeChat yet. So if you do hear something that you like that I say, I'm at LinkedIn Expert. If you hear something that Clinton or Steven says that you like, you know, reference them at eGrabber. And then if you like something that Adrienne says, reference her at azobel. Use hashtag URL to IRL so we can track it. You can also ask questions there. I'm going to keep an eye out on that for you guys. And then you can see at the bottom of every screen, we've got our Twitter handles down there. So you're going to absolutely be able to, even if you forget what I just said, you'll be able to use those Twitter handles. And in a lot of the screens, I've got the hashtag on the top left as well. So make sure you get active. And I don't see anyone active yet. One of you, share a tweet with me on Twitter. Okay, let's go to the next screen. All right, so what we're going to talk today, or what we're all going to talk about today, is really how to move from the unknown prospect to the known client using LinkedIn. But as I mentioned earlier, how do you take that relationship from LinkedIn and then use those face-to-face methods to turn those folks into clients? How do you get your prospects to know, like, and trust you on LinkedIn? That's really what I'm going to focus on. How to find email addresses and other information of prospects on the internet. As I mentioned a little bit earlier, I mentioned that in Periscope, not here. As I mentioned earlier, LinkedIn has really limited your ability, you've probably noticed that, to find and reach out to people. And so thank goodness there's eGrabber. And so Clinton is going to talk a little bit more about their new tool and how you can use it with LinkedIn to get the email addresses and the phone numbers of your prospects, and then use LinkedIn if you still need to, or take that into real life. And then Adrienne's going to tell us how to use all that information to make prospects like and trust you in real life, and then how to grow more business over time through these real life relationships. By the way, for those of you who are like, what is this URL to IRL? What are you talking about? URL is just like a website URL, right? And then IRL means in real life. So in case we didn't make that clear, that's what URL to IRL means. All right, take it away. Let us know a little bit more about what the difference is between knowns and unknowns.
So when you look at all the various marketing strategies, they really fall into just a few categories. First one is unknown to unknown, and that's cold calling or cold mailing, even the media. You have unknown to known, that's sharing your interests on LinkedIn. Then you have known to unknown, which are introductions and referrals. And by that I mean you're calling somebody who might not know you, or you're emailing somebody who might not know you, or talking to them on LinkedIn, but you drop the name of somebody who they know, and that's why it becomes known to unknown. And then, of course, known to known is the best you can do. And unfortunately, there are lots of business owners who do business who have created raving fans. And then they say, well, let's go on to the next one. They know who we are. They can call us. They can email us if they need us. No, it's all about staying in touch. And we'll get to more of that later.
Absolutely. Top of mind awareness. That's the one thing. I use that, I think, every day when I teach and train on LinkedIn, and it was really Adrienne who introduced me to that term, top of mind awareness. So this is actually, I think this was a quote from my friend Coca Sexton over at LinkedIn, that 90% of decision makers no longer respond to cold calls or cold emails. So if you're trying to get to a decision maker, a gateway person at a company, and you're just cold calling them or you're just cold emailing them, it doesn't really work. That outbound, it becomes a total numbers game. And I don't know about you, but I am not the biggest fan of cold calling. Like, I hate it more than anything in the world. So what Coca says is that visibility creates opportunity, right? So the more visible you are on LinkedIn, the more opportunity is created for people to know, like, and trust you. So LinkedIn then can become that mountaintop upon which you stand to get your message heard. So now you're amplifying your voice, and more people have the opportunity of hearing you, and then maybe they'll even reach out to you. I know there was something I was supposed to say about the 90% of decision makers no longer respond to cold calls, but I've forgotten what that was. Adrienne, do you remember what we talked about?
Yeah, it's that even though there's still 10% out there, and those 10% seem to be encouraging all those robocalls that are such pains in the neck.
Oh my gosh, yes, spam. We could talk about that maybe in the Q&A. There's so much spam on LinkedIn. So apparently 10% are responding, which is why we continue to get all the spam. But it's just not a very good use of your time and or money, right? So yes, thank you for reminding me what we were talking about. So as Coca says, going in cold is no longer a viable solution. All right, so how do you market, Adrienne?
Well, there are several different ways. You can do social media blasts. You can educate. How many people in the marketplace who you want to reach look upon you as the expert? That's the educational portion of marketing. You can go in voice to voice. I mean, the telephone is still not a dinosaur. Or you can go face to face. And there are 3 reasons why people are going to buy from you, and I believe they are on the next slide. Well, I guess not, but Vivica will go to this, and then we'll get back to the 3 reasons.
Exactly. So what I'm going to cover then today for you is 6 steps to move from unknown to known on LinkedIn. So what Adrienne was just talking about, you know, if you're just new to LinkedIn or if you're just new to your business, no one knows about you yet. So how do you get them to know about you? How do you increase your credibility? Because let's face it, we can all say anything we want about ourselves. Like, well, for instance, I got the name, the Twitter handle at LinkedIn Expert, 7, 8 years ago, maybe more than that. Was I a LinkedIn Expert 8 years ago? Heck no, I don't think anyone was. But I got the name, and then I had to, over time, prove that it was true. I mean, if you want it, here's the ninja trick. If you want to be an expert in something, call yourself an expert, because you will spend the rest of your life proving it's true, as on every interview and every webinar you ever do. So anyway, what we're going to talk about specifically is know who you want to know, right? So you've got to know who your audience is. If you don't know who your audience is, if you can help anyone with a face or anyone on the cloud or anyone with a computer, then you're not speaking to the right people. it's interesting. You think, well, the more people I can speak to, the more people I can serve. Doesn't that mean I'm going to get more business? No, it actually doesn't. Here's a little story, and actually this is from the days that I used to do face-to-face networking with several groups with Adrienne. But we were doing, the usual go around the table and introduce yourself with your little elevator speech. And one woman said, I can help anyone with a face. Now, for the life of me, I cannot remember who that woman was or what that product was that she was selling. But my friend Deanne I can't believe I'm spacing her last name, Mulvihill, sells Arbonne, and she said, I help women in their 30s and 40s feel more confident about themselves as they go out into the business world. Not only do I remember Deanna's name, I use her product still to this day because she was speaking to me, a woman in my 30s, now my 40s, who, needed all the confidence I could getting out in front of people. So you have to know who you want to know. You have to know your audience on LinkedIn. So I'll show you little ninja tricks around that. You have to tell them your story, right? You have to use LinkedIn to get them to know and like you. So tell them your story and really focus on them and their needs and their wants. So it's, yes, you're talking about yourself, but you're still talking about yourself in a way that serves them, your ideal client base. We'll talk about building credibility because, like I just said, anyone can say they're an expert, but how do you prove that? So, and that's how we get them to like and trust you. And then, how do you find these unknown prospects? And LinkedIn, Adrienne is going to actually give you her email so that you can ask for her presentation on generating referrals. It's a phenomenal tool. So you'll get that for free today. We'll talk about how to build relationships with your network to get them to like and trust you through TOMA, or top of mind awareness, again, a term I learned from Adrienne. And then, again, how to take it offline, and that's all Adrienne. Okay, go ahead and go to the next slide if you would. Next slide, please. There we go. So I've talked a lot about know, like, and trust, and you've probably heard a lot of people. Oh no, let's go back to Bob. You've heard a lot of people mention know, like, and trust, but it all comes from my friend Bob Berg. So you might know Bob Berg. He is the author of the program Endless Referrals. He's the author of the book The Go Giver, Go Giver Sell More, Adversaries into Allies, which is a phenomenal book if you haven't read it yet. And he's a friend of mine, and I credit him and Adrienne as getting me started and keeping me going on LinkedIn. So he says, and you've probably heard this before, and start using that hashtag, URL to IRL, and share this on LinkedIn. All things being equal, people do business and refer people they know, like, and trust. So that's my friend Bob Berg, and you'll hear me say that quote all the time, and it's so true. People are going to do business with you if they know, like, and trust you. And then if you'll go ahead to the next slide. And then there's my friend Joel Comm, and I'm sure a lot of you know Joel. He's the author of Twitter Power and many, many other books, AdSense Code. And he's also a dear friend of mine, and he also got me started kind of on my internet career. But he's condensed that down to know me, like me, trust me, buy from me. So that's Joel, isn't it? Just getting right down to it. There we are at Social Media Marketing World together with our hashtag signs from our friend Subi Zimmerman, the Instagram expert. Okay, go ahead to the next slide. But when I was just talking about adding media to your profile, hey, if you can get seen with an influencer like Bob Berg or Joel Comm, upload that photo to your LinkedIn profile. All right, so I already mentioned getting clear on your audience. Let's break that down a little bit. You need to know who your audience, your tribe, and your market is. And you can have more than one. I mean, I have more than one. I'm sure everyone on this call has more than one tribe or more than one market. But you have to define them all. And then you have to choose the one that's most important to you at this time. And then you have to write your profile to make sure you're speaking to them. Are they total geeks who use acronyms all the time? Great. Be super geeky and use acronyms? Are they very professional and traditional? Well, you might talk about yourself in the third person and use much more correct language and correct grammar. Or are they your internet marketing, social beards, and they're all out there, in their t-shirts and ripped jeans and baseball caps, and they're making millions of dollars just being cool? Well, then you want to share content that they'll be interested in. So who are they, right? Are they generally male or female? What age are they? 10 to 20, well, probably not 10 to 20, but 20 to 30, 40 to 50, 60 to 80, what age are they? That will help you define how you're going to speak to them. What's their race? What education do they have? What's their economic classification or income bracket? Again, all of this, if you are clear on it, will inform you as how to create your LinkedIn profile to gain that credibility, to get them to like you and trust them. You're speaking their language. They're more likely to trust you if you are speaking their language. What do they like? What are they interested in? What do they spend their free time doing? Maybe that's content you should share. What's their point of pain? What is keeping them up at night? I just had a coaching call with my friend and coach, Deborah Brinkelson, and she's like, I don't care that you're a LinkedIn expert. No one cares that you're a LinkedIn expert. What is keeping people up at night, and how can you solve that? For the job seekers, I don't have a job, I can't pay my mortgage, my kids are going to starve. For people who have a business, is there any security in my business? I don't know. My kids are going to starve. For people who own your own business, I don't know. Am I going to have a job tomorrow? Are my kids going to starve? So you need to be able to be aware of what their point of pain is so that you can speak to that pain with your product or your service or your offer or yourself if you're a job seeker. So you've got to be really, really clear on your audience. If you haven't done this yet, take a screenshot of this slide. Make a note to yourself, but write that down. Make sure that you have the answers to all these questions. And by the way, Facebook and LinkedIn do a pretty good job of actually show you, and Facebook does a better job at it, of showing you who's following you and classifying those individuals. So you might take a look at Facebook Insights to see those individuals. All right, now you can change to the next slide. And tell them your story. There's a section, there's a summary section on LinkedIn, and 90% of the LinkedIn profiles I come across, they've only put in a paragraph. And this is really your opportunity to tell people who you are, but more importantly, what's in it for them. Why should they be following you? What do they get from following you? What do they get from connecting to you, right? So you can actually see, I put right in the middle of my summary, what's in it for you? Like, here's some credentials about me, but what's in it for you? Also, here's another ninja trick. I love sharing the ninja tricks. If you add URLs, if you add links, like you can see I'm the author of LinkedIn Marketing Hour a Day, well, that's all well and good, but are you going to remember that 10 minutes from now or go to that link? Probably not. But I actually put the link in there, http amazon.com/author/LinkedIn expert. And if you're looking at my profile from a smartphone or from your iPad or from your tablet, that link becomes a hyperlink, not on the browser, but a little over 50% of people are using LinkedIn on their mobile devices. So if you're on your mobile device, that becomes a hyperlink. You can go and buy my book. Bam, done. So add useful links, add CTAs, another term I learned from Adrienne, calls to action. Go here, do this, follow me. Tell people what to do. Otherwise, they don't know. They're like, oh, that's a nice summary section. Okay, next. No, send me a free email. Download my book. Go here. Ask me to connect. And you might actually consider adding your contact info too. Because on LinkedIn, with all of the restrictions that LinkedIn's putting on the free accounts, you can only easily engage anymore with your first level connections. These are people you already know, like, and hopefully trust. So if you add your contact information into your LinkedIn profile, you see I put it first, email me, invite me to connect, then you have the opportunity of anyone who sees your profile reaching out to you. Now, will you get spammy newsletters and will you get all that stuff that goes on with all the spam that goes on? Yes, you will. Delete it. It's a pain. Delete it, because you will also be getting contact requests and emails from individuals who might become your next client, might become your next employee, might become your next vendor, might become your next business partner. So make sure you put your contact info in there as well. So tell them your story, use the summary section, all 2,000 characters. Here's another ninja trick. You guys can be sharing this on Twitter, by the way, guys. Here's another ninja trick. Do it first in a Word document. That way you can count your characters. It's 2,000 characters, not words. That way you can get formatting in there. You can add bullets. You can get Adrienne knows I'm an English major, but somehow my spelling and grammar is atrocious. So at least you can run spell check and grammar check in Word, and then you just copy and paste it into LinkedIn. All right, go ahead to the next slide if you would. Great. The other thing that you can do is add awesome visuals to LinkedIn. So there is a great new possibility or ability to upload kind of like a banner image or a hero image, and it rests, as you can see here, on top of your LinkedIn profile. So now you have an awesome opportunity to build credibility through branding, right? You've got your logo, so that's branding across your different social media sites. You can add contact information so people can email you or phone you, but it's not pick upable by those web crawlers. So you can safely add contact information up there. You can add a tip of the day. You can let people know about an event that you're going to be at. Maybe you have a picture of you with a bunch of influencers that you want to put up there. That's the first hero image I ever uploaded. Go ahead to the next slide. I'll give them a couple more details on that. So your hero image is going to be 1400 by 425 pixels, and you will, by the way, guys, be getting a copy of this presentation in your in an email follow-up. So this is actually a hyperlink to, and maybe, I don't know if you guys can add the link to the chat box too. This is actually an article I wrote for Social Media Examiner on the hero image and what you could do. Now, besides the hero image, which is my new favorite tool, don't forget to add your photo. Right? It is so important. You have 87% better chance of engagement if you add your photo. Not only that, but when you go to meet someone for the first time, which Adrienne will talk about how to get them to do that, whether it's at a coffee shop or at a conference or at a trade show, you want to be recognizable. So uploading that photo of you from the 70s, even if you looked better then, and trust me, you didn't, they're not going to be able to recognize you. So make sure it's recognizable. And then you want to add media, right? You want to add testimonials, product demos. Keep going back. Product demos. Nope. We're not done yet. Let's go back. There we go. Any kind of accreditation that you have, so any certificates or licenses, you can take a picture of that and upload that or save it as a PDF. Portfolios, if you've got a portfolio in SlideShare, or you've got a video portfolio, if you've got pictures with influencers, any of this you can add as media to your profile in your summary section, in your experience section, and in your education section. So this is what I was talking about earlier. We can all say we're experts, but let's show people we're experts, right? Send links to articles you've written, or if you've been quoted in Forbes or CNN or any of those, share those links. Prove that you're an expert. Show people your work in your portfolios. Show people your abilities. Give them examples of what you do. If you're a job seeker, upload your CV. Save it as a CV or as a PDF first. Upload some. We did this with Sue Zimmerman again. We took some images of testimonials that she had, and then we branded it to her brand, and we uploaded those images because she didn't have, those people weren't on LinkedIn because Instagram, but we uploaded those testimonials as images, so those testimonials still speak for her. So these are all different ways that you can use media to lend credibility, again increasing that that KNT, that trust factor. Okay, go ahead to the next one.
Viveka, before you go to the next frame, may I just break in here for a minute? I am sure that there are some people online right now who are thinking that this constitutes bragging. Please get them away from that attitude.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. And you know, it's interesting, and I don't want to harp on this too long. I work with a lot of women, and I'm not saying that men don't consider this bragging and women do, but that does tend to be the response I get, and usually from women. Oh, but I couldn't talk about myself. I couldn't brag about myself. I couldn't, get over it. That's all I have to say is get over it. It's better if someone else talks about you, right? So if you can upload someone else's testimonial of you, fabulous. But in the meantime, you have to let people know who you are and what you do. And if that sounds braggy, so be it. This is absolutely true. And I know we've got people in from different countries. In America, we're a little bit used to it. But I know when I speak in I've spoken a few times in Norway and then in New Zealand, and my audience was like horrified. But the fact is, we have to let people know who we are. Now, if your audience is going to think it's braggy, then you let people know by just adding media, testimonials, portfolios, and let them decide. So again, you know your audience and what they're going to be expecting, but I'm just saying here's an opportunity to add credibility to who you are, what you do, and how you help people. Thank you for bringing that up, Adrienne. All right, go ahead to the next slide. So here's the fun part, and I'm a total geek, so I think this is fun. The rest of you, maybe not. But if you'll notice, to the right of the regular search on LinkedIn, there's a little link that says Advanced. And when you click on that, it opens up a whole new opportunity. So my friend Deborah, who's I mentioned, my business coach, she reached out to me the other day and she said, is there a way that I can find a certain group of people on LinkedIn and exclude other people? And I'm like, have you not listened to anything I've shared? So the answer to that is absolutely yes, and it's through the advanced search on LinkedIn. Now, even if you have the free account, everything on the left-hand side of this screen is free. So you can search people by keyword, right? So I can look for attorneys and lawyers and litigators, but not judges or not legal consultants or not legal marketers, right? So I can include and exclude any type of person by keyword. I can find people, of course, by first name and last name. If I have a client, Joe Smith, and I type Joe Smith into LinkedIn, there's literally like 12,000 results. But if I know that Joe Smith lives in a specific location, now I have the ability of finding the Joe Smith in Fort Collins, Colorado that I need to speak to. Or maybe I don't know exactly who my audience, who the individual is, but I know that I want that my ideal prospect is a CEO or a founder or an owner or a partner, but not necessarily legal, in the Fort Collins, Colorado area, or in the Oslo area, or in Paris, France. Ooh, I should do that. But I can find those individuals, and then LinkedIn will give me my search results. Now, again, LinkedIn is further and further and further restricting who you can communicate with. So you may choose to sort by only, and you can see in the middle section there, only by first and second level connections. First level connections I can send a message to. Second level connections I can get introduced to or send an invitation to. But LinkedIn, and that's why I use eGrabber actually. One of my clients actually who has a Sales Navigator, which is a pretty expensive tool, he's actually limited now on what he could do on LinkedIn. So even paid accounts have some limitations, which is why I use eGrabber, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. But you do have the ability at least to start finding and engaging with these people. And let's face it, you don't need 10,000 leads. You need 10 good leads to close one. And again, Adrienne will show you how to do that. Okay, next. So my friend Brian Fanzo, I love him. He's iSocial Fans on Twitter, so give a shout out if you're on Twitter. Say hello to him, iSocial Fans. He says, remember that attention and trust are hard to gain. So when you are on LinkedIn, the last thing you want to do is start, connect to someone and then go, hey, buy from me. I really was doing a LinkedIn search and I really admire your profile and I'm hoping you're willing to connect. that's fine. And then my next letter to them is, hey, I've got a LinkedIn training, you should totally buy it, right? So you have to get their attention, and that's what we've talked about. Have a nice profile, use your keywords to get found, add those visuals, and then you've got to build trust. So there are many different ways you can communicate on LinkedIn. You can send, again, messages to first level connections, and we'll talk about what all of these communications should look like in just a second. But your first level connections you can send messages to, just like email, but they've got a higher open rate. And there's that face, name, and title association, because any message you send is going to have your picture and your professional headline and your name, obviously. And so it starts to build that top of mind awareness. You can invite people who you're not connected to. Again, LinkedIn is limiting this. You used to be able to invite anyone on LinkedIn. Now it's kind of restricted to people who are in your network. Second level connections, some third level connections, people you share a group with, friends of friends. You can ask introductions. So again, with the friends of friends, you can ask your friends to introduce you, which I love, because let's face it, if you go to a networking event and and this person is standing by themselves, and you are this influencer is surrounded by people, and you want to go talk to him or her, it's going to feel awkward unless you can get someone to introduce you. So LinkedIn is the same way. If that doesn't work, there's InMail. That's for third level connections or people who are outside of your network, and you have to pay for it. Or you can share an update, and that's just like a tweet, or you can share a post on LinkedIn. So there are many different ways to build relationships through LinkedIn. Go ahead and go to the next slide, and then we'll talk about some best practices when you're reaching out to people. And as we move over to this next slide, the first thing to remember is know who they are, right? So who they are dictates what to say. If they're more traditional, you need to be, you need to be more conservative. If they're your social flyboys, then you can be a lot more casual. So you need to have that peer-to-peer voice. Use LinkedIn to research your potential prospect, and then reference that research. Mention something on their LinkedIn profile, or mention something that they shared on LinkedIn, or see if they're on Twitter on LinkedIn, and then go to their Twitter account and check that out. Again, it's not about 10,000 connections. It's about finding the 10 that are the right people, doing a little research and reaching out to them. Again, mentioning that point of pain or pleasure, and we talked about that earlier, and how you can solve potentially that point of pain and pleasure. Asking for advice is always useful. I think the most important thing here is just don't sell, right? Don't sell. Okay, go ahead to, don't sell yet, I guess I should say. That comes later after you've started your conversation. All right, go ahead to the next slide. So that's pretty much what I have to talk about LinkedIn, but I'm going to interrupt Adrienne and probably Clinton here. But but that's what I have to talk about LinkedIn. Because of LinkedIn's limitations, I've started using eGrabber, and that's why I wanted to do this webinar with them, to let them know about, to let you guys all know about eGrabber. So take it away.
Thank you, Viveka. And Steve, if you could make me the presenter, if you could show my screen, I can show people the 2-minute demo. Okay, I got the controls, and Steve, let me know if you can see my screen right now. You should be seeing a browser with some LinkedIn profiles over there.
Yes, we could, Clinton.
Right. First, a quick poll question for everybody. And Stephen, if you could launch that poll question for me, for everybody, please.
Yes, just.
So the question is, in which email ID do you receive LinkedIn messages? Right? Now, what do I mean by that? Stephen, has everyone seen the poll question right now?
Yes.
I'm still looking at profiles.
Yeah, Adrienne, we will not be able to see the poll questions, but if Stephen has launched it, and Stephen let us know when we do, everybody else, all the audience are going to get a screen with 4 options, or 4 or 5 options on screen. So Stephen, have you launched the poll for everybody?
Just give me a minute, I'm getting that done.
How we love technology. I did a Periscope this morning. Yeah, I apologize for the people who were on it. But yeah, technology is great, and it's both our best friend and our worst enemy sometimes.
Yeah, it just it takes our best side and it amplifies it, 10, 100 times, and it also takes
Exactly.
it does the opposite also. So
Ah,
okay, so we'll skip the poll right now and go straight to this content. What I was talking about is if when you log into your LinkedIn, which email address do you use to log into LinkedIn? So typically you'll find you're using your personal email address to log into LinkedIn, and that that means um, you will be able to get all the LinkedIn notifications on your personal email address. And it seems like Stephen has opened the polls. So if you could vote right now and tell me which email ID do you receive your LinkedIn messages and other LinkedIn notifications. So if someone sends you a connection request, do you get that on your personal email address or your business email address or both, or you don't have a LinkedIn account at all? So vote very quickly and it'll be open for the next 5 seconds. Stephen, if you can close the poll right now and quickly share the results with everybody.
hmm.
Could you see the results?
Yes.
Yes.
So about 40% of people are logging in to LinkedIn using their personal email address, and another 40% are using their business email address. And so that's a good 40% who are using their business email address to receive their LinkedIn messages. And I'm pretty sure, Viveka, those guys are your followers because you keep giving that advice to people. Add all your email addresses to LinkedIn. But what I've found with my sales team, what I've found in communicating with our prospects is 70% of the market that we address uh, just don't keep their business email address connected to their LinkedIn. Now, what does that mean? That means if that's your kind of audience, or even if your audience is representative of these results, even if your audience is 40%, then 40% of your prospects are not seeing your LinkedIn messages, are not seeing LinkedIn connection requests, right? So what does that mean? They are those connection requests are going to their personal email address, which they are viewing off business hours, which they are viewing over the weekend.
Yeah.
Now, would you like that, or would you like them to see your message when they are at the height of their energy, when they are at the height of their focus? Would you like them to see your message during business hours, right? So if you're
Yeah.
like most salespeople, business hours are the best time to get your message out to people, to your prospective audience. So yeah, so Viveka was talking about getting one person to buy from you in every 10. You know what? Let's increase those odds. Maybe make it 2, make it 3, right? So get in front of them, in front of their business email address. And Steve, if you could close the poll right now, I can show you what we have done. Steve?
Is that good enough?
Yes, I can. I have control again. So to make sure that you get in front of your audience, in front of their business email address, we created this little tool called the Email Prospector. Now, you might see it popping up on the left-hand side of your screen. So it's a little desktop tool. But what can it do? If you have prospects on LinkedIn, like you're seeing right now, these are my second-degree connections. These are VP of sales, the type of people that I speak to, the type of people that I talk to. I can just highlight their contact information on LinkedIn, press a button, and wait for a few seconds, and boom, I get their business email address. Okay, and this tool is very simple because you can highlight pretty much anybody's name and company and add it to the email prospector, and poof, there you go. That's another email address. And the nice thing is you can keep doing this all day if you like. You can get a lot of email addresses and then send out your message to them, reach out to them, not only on the LinkedIn, reach out to them on their business email address as well. The nice thing is this thing verifies that email address also and gives
I
it to
was,
you. So you know if you can send that email, it's going to deliver to them. Yeah,
I was
Viveka?
just going to say, did everyone see that? I mean, there's a lot of tools out there that grab what they think is the accurate email address, but this actually verifies it. That's super cool.
Yeah, and if ever you're wondering where we get that email address from, well, that's a little secret sauce. But but in a sense, this tool scans the internet in real time in front of you and figures out the email address. And we have a patent on that, so you know it works. Okay, and this thing is so nice. All my sales team uses it. Okay, they stopped using other modes of finding email. They only trust this right now. And a lot of our customers do that too.
Yeah.
Um, but if you get email addresses from a lot of other vendors, you'll find out that you get charged maybe $1 an email. This tool is $1 a day. So even if you use it for like 20, 30 contacts a day, it's still $1 a day. So it's really affordable, and it really gives you a chance of doubling, tripling, quadrupling your response ratio. Send them the connection request, no problem. But if you're like decision makers who are really busy, who are really into their market, you'll find that a lot of decision makers don't listen to LinkedIn. They're so busy in their inbox, they're so busy in the conference room, they're so busy on the phone. They don't have time for LinkedIn. So increase your chances of getting into that account. Use this tool, get their business email address, and use it. Right?
And you'll see there too that there's a research tab and a notes tab. So this allows you to do deeper research than even on LinkedIn. It just saves you so much time. And then you can even make notes, export this information. So if you're using a CRM system, I mean, there's an immense amount of value above and beyond but getting the email address, the accurate verified email address. There's so much goodness to this little tool.
That's right. And the reason we put the research tab is if you write an email, you don't want to sound spammy. So
Yes.
it's a good idea to check out the LinkedIn profile. That's great. You might be surprised also that some decision makers just don't give anything on LinkedIn. They just say president of so-and-so company and that's it. So while that can be frustrating, this thing can help. So we've given quick links that you can click and you can get some news about the company, maybe some trigger keywords, maybe some new initiatives, sometimes an interview with this person, with your prospect, and you can use that information in your message to them, your LinkedIn message, in your business email to them. Okay. Finally, some of you might be thinking, is this a LinkedIn only tool? Is email prospector a LinkedIn only tool? Well, not true. If you prospect companies, and if anywhere where you have a name in a company, this tool can get a business email address. So if you go to management pages like this, if you prospect on trade shows, on speaker lists, on Excel sheets, triggers, press releases, anywhere where you have a name in a company, plug it into this tool, press a button. In a few seconds, you get a business email address. Research them, and then you can land that deal, or at least get in touch with them so you can start building trust. Okay?
Exactly,
So,
which is what Adrienne's going to talk about now.
exactly. And don't go away, folks, because I have a special offer at the end of this webinar. But that said, I'll hand over the floor to Adrienne. And Stephen, you could take away controls and show Adrienne's slides. Steve, you would require the PowerPoint.
Yeah, I don't see the presentation.
It's on its way. There you go.
There you are.
So we've talked about LinkedIn. And now what we're going to do is we're going to transition from LinkedIn to IRL, which Viveka already told you stands for in real life. What kind of marketing plan do you have? Overwhelmingly, business owners do not have marketing plans. They just don't have them. So it's time to create a marketing plan. And there's 6 different steps. First step is diagnosis. Where are we now and why? How did we get to where we are? Second step, prognosis. Where will we be if we change nothing? You've looked at different issues in the diagnosis, such as image, such as sales follow-up, such as staying in touch, such as checking in with your clients and customers. Well, if any of that is faulty, where are you going to be? Third step, goals and objectives. Where do we want to be in 6 months, in 12 months, not 10 years? And I suggested people choose 3 different goals, select 3 goals, and one of them is non-negotiable, and that is currently we generate approximately X% of our business by referral, and by March 31st or whatever of next year, we want to increase that percentage from X to Y.
Yep.
Then we get to strategy. How are we going to get there in general? And that might well include LinkedIn or eGrabber. And what I have found is when people say they have marketing plans, they go right to step 4, which is strategy. And that comes out as, okay, gang, how much are we going to spend and where are we going to spend it? That's not quite a marketing plan. So how are you going to get there in general? How are you going to get there specifically? And every 3 months, how are we doing? You want to create trust through face-to-face, voice-to-voice, and education. And one of the ways to do that, if you email me at my email address, which is on the screen, I'll send you a free copy of our current e-schmoozing calendar. Next slide, please. Social, oh, this is Vivica.
I still don't see the slide. There we go. And again, this is from my friend Coca, the co-leader of corporate content over at LinkedIn now. He just got promoted. So social selling is the process of using your professional brand to fill your pipeline with the right people, insights, and relationships. And that's really what, we've talked about LinkedIn and your presence on LinkedIn, but what Adrienne's really talking, but we're just calling it social selling now, but it's really just selling and engaging and how to fill your pipeline. So take it away.
Next slide, please. So you've heard Vivica. She's told you some of the fine points of how you can get even greater benefits than you're already getting from LinkedIn. But now let's talk about real-world marketing. Because when you're on LinkedIn, you're still in the world of technology. And yes, LinkedIn is a social media powerhouse, but it's time now to harness that reach to the building of in-person relationships. Next slide, please. Next slide.
Next slide. We love technology. There we go.
There are 3 reasons why people purchase from you. And you've heard Vivica say, know you, like you, trust you. My 3 reasons are confidence, comfort level, and trust. They have to have confidence in you. This is built over a period of time. This is the way you present yourself. This is the way you introduce yourself. This is what you put into your profile. And when you introduce yourself and say, well, I just started a little business 3 months ago, and if you know anybody who needs, that's not exactly building confidence. People like to do business with experts. They have to be comfortable with you, and they have to trust you. There are also 3 ways to enhance these emotions to grow your business. The first one is face-to-face. The second one is voice-to-voice. And the third one is education. And that positions you and your employees as the experts. If you're in a buying position, you are starting out to buy from somebody, to purchase something, who do you go to? You go to the experts. Next slide, please. Your local LinkedIn connections, how many of them have you met? How many of them could you meet? They're fairly local to you, and you're simply communicating with them on LinkedIn when you could be meeting them in person. How much more might you learn from them through face-to-face communication over and above what you've discovered on LinkedIn? Next slide, please. Are you from the same state? Did you attend the same or nearby schools? Did your schools compete against each other? Were you both in the military? What is their past work experience? Are you in similar industries? For whom did they work? The more you can learn about people, the more you're going to build confidence, comfort level, and trust. And when you walk into a room where you don't know anybody, the starting question is, are you a native, or did you move here from somewhere else? And if they're a native, okay, where did you grow up? What school did you go to? And if they moved from somewhere else, what brought you here? How do you like it? But when I'm speaking live to audiences, and I say this, they finish this sentence as if they all rehearsed it the night before. They are absolutely in unison. And the statement is, people love to talk about themselves. Give them the opportunity. Next slide.
By the way, I don't know if you saw that, but there's actually a tool on LinkedIn called In Common that will show you what you have in common with those individuals. So
beautiful. I'm writing that down. Thank you.
Yeah.
So here is some of the information that you can gain from over and above the information from the people's profiles on LinkedIn by meeting in real life. You can measure one's smile. You can't do that on technology. You can assess one's eye blink rate. We all know that when the eye blink rate is more rapid, they're quite possibly not telling you the truth.
Nope.
You can test one's handshake. How powerful is it? How firm? Is it like a fish? You can utilize your ability to judge someone else. You can exercise your own truth meter. What kind of judge am I of this person? Is this person telling me the truth? Does this person really have all this experience? I'm sure they can type a lot into a LinkedIn profile, but how true is it? And I'm not trying to knock LinkedIn, but I think you get my point. You can ascertain their actual expertise. You can discuss how you can help each other. You can determine if you should pursue this relationship. And if you think this relationship is worth pursuing, then go for the close. And here's the closing question. Where do we go from here? Now, very often people will say to me, well, I followed your advice, Adrienne. I invited him out to lunch. We had a wonderful time, and then it didn't go anywhere. Well, that's because you didn't ask the closing question. Where do we go from here? Give a couple of suggestions. Should we meet once a month? Would you like to meet every couple of weeks? Should we meet every other month? Is there something we really need to talk about? Should we each prepare an outline and then get back together in another month? So where do we go from here? Give them a couple of suggestions. They might not value your suggestions, but they might come up with a different suggestion. You just completed the first part of the close. Next slide.
Love that.
Set a time to speak. And above all, give this conversation your full attention. What I mean by that is, don't speak to them while you're on the subway. Don't speak while you're in the supermarket shopping for dinner, or you're watching your kids play soccer and you can hear all these cheers of people in the background. You want to be totally there when you're speaking to them. And this is with your distant connections. It's not easy. It's not possible for you to be face-to-face. You can listen for their voice inflections. For years, I did teleseminars for the National Association of the Remodeling Industry. You'd be amazed at what you can learn from people's voice inflections over the telephone. How comfortably are they speaking? or are they hesitating when they try to tell you their experience? How enthusiastic do they sound about working together? How much at ease do you feel? How can you help each other? And again, what is your action plan after this talk? You know, Vivica spent a fair amount of time talking about getting clear about the demographics of who you want to work with. But you also have to be clear about yourself. You have to be clear in your profile, and you have to be clear in your introduction. And as Vivica said, you have to focus. The more narrowly you define your markets, the more effectively you can target those markets. So you have to define who you want to work with. And all too often, if I go to a business organizational group, whatever it might be, I hear people say, well, I can work with anybody who has a credit card, can write a check. No, that's not focused. That is not focused, folks. Or if you know anybody who, that's not focused. So I'm going to give you a very, very simple example of focusing. Pretend for a moment, if you will, that instead of my being a marketing consultant and speaker, I'm a realtor. And you and I run into each other for the first time at a leads group. And you ask me, what do you do, Adrienne? And I say, I'm a realtor. Or I could say, I'm a residential realtor. Or I could say, I'm a residential realtor and I deal in properties of at least $350,000. Or I could say, I'm a residential realtor, I deal in properties of at least $350,000 within a half hour of the Front Range of northern Colorado. Now, what have I done with each of those definitions? I've narrowed them. And that's what you need to do, both in your LinkedIn profile and when you speak to people, whether it be face-to-face or whether it be voice-to-voice. You have to home in on who you are and what you do. You've been in meetings where people introduce themselves and they tell you they have 4 different businesses and you shut down. Keep it precise and stay focused. Next slide, please. You know your field. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how well have you communicated your expertise to the marketplace? Do you tend to sell, sell, sell? And you heard what Vivica said, don't sell. Or do you tend to educate? If it's the former, then how can you tone down the selling part? You've got to breed that confidence, the comfort level, and the trust before you start to sell. To what groups could you speak? Where could you publish articles besides LinkedIn? And in your marketing plan, who could benefit from your expertise? Define and prioritize your markets. That's earlier on, Vivica showed you different examples of demographics. The more narrowly you define your markets, the more effectively you can target those markets. And finally, what percentage of your business comes through referrals? How could you increase that percentage? What kind of referral program do you have? Do you write thank you notes? Do you send gift cards? Do you send dinner for 2 gift certificates to people who have referred you more than once or twice? Do you have client appreciation dinners? How often do you schmooze with clients? And if you email me at the address on the screen, again, I will get you the current schmoozing calendar. How often do you schmooze with others for mutual referrals? And how do you thank for those referrals? Marketing is a person-to-person business, and technology is tremendously helpful in marketing.
Yeah.
But it is not the be-all and end-all of marketing. It's the introduction in marketing, and you have to complement that technology with the in real life situations. There are 100 plus categories of people who move through your personal and business lives. How many of them know who you are and what you do? And when you go in through by referral, your chance of closure increases by 75%. That's why I said earlier, one of your 3 goals in your marketing plan has to be to increase the amount of business you generate by referral so that you're marketing smart versus marketing hard. When you go in by referral, price is not top priority. You've been pre-sold. And when you go in by referral, your sales cycle decreases dramatically. You know how expensive it is to have a never-ending sales cycle. So to learn more about your IRL marketing, visit me. My website is there. I'll help you enhance your connections. You can email me. If you prefer voice-to-voice, you can call me at the number on the screen. By joining LinkedIn to IRL in real life, you will then have a dynamite, unbeatable marketing combination.
Awesome. It's true. All right, we're a little bit over, guys. I appreciate most of you stayed on. So yeah, we're absolutely going to hit the questions coming up here. Go ahead to the next slide, if you would. As we wrap it up, keep calm. There we are. So we've got a couple offers for you. No, that's good. We've got a couple offers for you. Like I said, I'm a huge fan of eGrabber, so I said if I'm going to do this webinar with you, you have to give my tribe some money off. So they are. So go ahead and share that with them if you would, and we will go to Q&A, promise. And by the way, Adrienne and I have some special offers too, so don't leave yet.
Sure. So this email prospector, the program that can get anybody's business, any prospect's business email address, so you can message them so that you can increase your chance of conversion. If you like to take a look at it, put it on your GoToMeeting chat right now. Just say, can I get a copy of email prospector? Okay. If you can get a walkthrough of email prospector if you want. I'll have somebody reach out to you and show it to you as an online demo. Or if you like a copy so you can try it yourself for about a couple of days, put it on your GoToMeeting chat with your phone number and we'll get back to you with a trial copy. If you like to get it at a special $100 off, you can put that in your GoToMeeting chat as well. Put your phone number, just say buy, or try, or demo, okay, next to your GoToMeeting chat, and I'll have someone reach out to you. You can claim this special offer. So this $100 is not available on the website, not available anywhere. It's just available through this webinar. So type in the GoToWebinar chat. So that's my special offer. And there are 2 more offers, one from Viveka, one from Adrienne, before we go to the live Q&A. Stephen, maybe flip the slide.
Oh, my link didn't get in there. That's okay. So I have a few things. If you want a little bit more detail on what I talked about today, you can get my free social selling ebook, URL to IRL ebook. Also, maybe one of you guys can put in the chat if you want a little bit more information about LinkedIn and you don't want to pay for it. I have a free link. Well, I have a training on lynda.com, both on business pages and the business of LinkedIn, and also on LinkedIn advertising. So if you go to lynda.com/trial/Viveka Von Rosen, that's Lynda, LYNDA.com/trial/Viveka Von Rosen, and we'll go ahead and put that back in the chat box for you. That'll give you 10 days free trial on lynda.com, or if you're already on lynda.com, I've got advertising fundamentals and I've got LinkedIn for business there. So a couple free resources for you to make use of immediately. Okay, go ahead, Adrienne.
You can get my schmoozing calendar for free if you email me at azobel@azobelassociates.com. Now, here's what the schmoozing calendar is. It gives you an idea each week of someone generic to invite for breakfast, lunch, or coffee. It might be your CPA, who knows an awful lot of people. It might be another professional advisor. It might be a community leader. I certainly hope it's a client so that you're not taking your clients for granted, but you take them out once in a while and get them off site. I have too many clients who say to me, well, Adrienne, I'm on site with them every week. Yeah, but that's operations. I'm talking about really learning about each other and getting comfortable with each other and trusting each other. And so that's what the schmoozing calendar does. It gives you ideas of people to invite for breakfast, lunch, or coffee on a weekly basis.
I totally used the schmoozing calendar. Totally used it. Love it. Yes, you need to get this. All right, let's go ahead and take questions. I think that's up next, right? And there are no dumb questions, except the ones not asked. So
that's correct.
Yes. No dumb questions except the ones not asked. And here's our contact information. So if you missed it throughout this email, or I don't even think I gave it to you, but if you missed it throughout this webinar and you have any questions for us and we don't cover it because we are running late, just feel free to email us and we'll answer any questions. But we'll answer them now too. I can stay on for a little bit longer.
So we do have a few questions. And there we're gonna. Okay, there's one from Rick Ward. LinkedIn is for people you know, not the unknown people, right?
Nope. You know, that's a great question. Like I said, no dumb questions except the one not asked. No, that's a great question, Rick. And I understand why you're saying it, because LinkedIn says to only connect to people you know. I'm going to modify that. I'm going to say you should only connect to people you should know. So like LinkedIn has a tool called People You May Know, and I use that tool a lot. I'm like, hey, you know, LinkedIn thinks we should know each other. I see we have these people in common and these groups in common, and we both worked here, and you know, you can see all that in their profile. And you know, let's rectify that issue. Let's connect on LinkedIn. So if LinkedIn feeds me someone who it thinks I should know anyway, absolutely, I'm going to reach out to them. And your prospects are out there, right? So yes, there are the people you know on LinkedIn, and then there's 374 million other people, of which maybe 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 are your next clients. But you don't know who you don't know until you do the research and you find them, which is why I love the advanced search so much. So yes, LinkedIn, according to LinkedIn, you should only connect with people on LinkedIn who you know, but then you might as well just use Outlook. So I always say connect to the people you should know on LinkedIn. So that's my answer. Do what you think and what you are most comfortable with.
One more question from another Stephen. He says, I recently found that I am limited to a number of searches each month.
Yes.
And
Yep.
I went over to my unknown limitations a couple of days ago. Any ways to get around this?
Yeah, Google. Oh, it's so annoying, isn't it? It just drives me up a wall. LinkedIn really is trying to port us all into the premium accounts. I've had one for a long time for that very reason and a couple others. So I'm going to pop it in and maybe you guys can share it again. If you do site:// linkedin.com and then put your search in quotation marks, then Google will actually do the search for you, and then from those Google search results, you can use eGrabber or you can go back into LinkedIn. But from those Google search results, you can actually get more content, the individuals that you're looking for. And by the way, another ninja trick: if you use that site search, so you do site:// linkedin.com, you can do in quotation marks a group that you want to search within that maybe you're not even a member of, and then again your search parameters: CEO or owner, not legal, not partner, and telemarketing. So you can use that search to further to further refine and then get those Google results, and then from Google either use eGrabber or use go back into LinkedIn and find those individuals. Oh, it just drives me up a wall, Stephen, that LinkedIn is doing that. So I'm here to help you work your way around that until you're ready to have a premium account. A lot more tips in the ebook and the course.
Yeah, I would just like to add to that. Yes, that's a good. That's the only unknown thing about eGrabber, that we could get you contact information from LinkedIn. So yes, so reach out to eGrabber and you could get that, Stephen. Okay, one more
Yep.
question from Dan Orlando. How does the standard of LinkedIn differ from the view search product they are promoting? I think this works just fine, but are they going to take this away to have people sign up for their new product or get more money from LinkedIn users already paying for a premium?
Yeah, probably. Right. I mean, you never know what LinkedIn's going to add or take away. They keep adding really, really cool tools like, their little CRM system, but then they shut down the API. And guys, more power to you. Most of my friends who've got third-party applications that work with or rely on LinkedIn have been shut down. Like the API is just, it's you can't even get anything anymore from LinkedIn, and CRM systems aren't working anymore. And the only two companies, and I don't know what your software is, and I know you're not going to save it, you're not going to share it with me, but yeah, the eGrabber and Nimble are the only two that, and Salesforce, of course, because they've got a relationship with LinkedIn, are the only three really that have that connection. So yeah, LinkedIn giveth, but LinkedIn taketh away more than it giveth. Any more
Okay, there's
questions?
one more. I mean, a couple of more. One from uh, Ken. It says, "What is the link in common websites spoke of earlier? Thanks. In common tools.
Oh yeah, yeah.
What's
So it's
missing?"
not actually a link. If you go, Ken, if you go to a person's profile, again, which may or may not be visible depending on how you're connected to them on LinkedIn. But if you go to a member's profile and you scroll about halfway down, on the right-hand side, it'll actually say what you have in common with them. There's a little graphic, and you can
Who's going to
click on the
answer that
different
question?
icons. Yeah, and it'll show you what you have in common with them. So as long as you can see basically the body of that individual's profile, you can see what you have in common with them.
Okay, one
And
more.
again, if you've got eGrabber, boy, you'll have all the information in the world that you need to reach out to them.
Okay, yeah, here's from Charles Smith. It's Charles, how do I access the recording of this webinar? Oh, I want to review it with my partners. Yes, Charles, we
Right.
we would send you a link of this webinar, and you could go through it. I hope that answers your question. And we have one more quick question from Crystal. If you have a first name such as Susan, and some people call you Sue, and some call you Susie, and some call
Yeah,
you Sue, you'll answer to anything, but it makes it harder for people to find you on LinkedIn.
yeah,
If you
yeah.
include directives that you use at the bottom of your summary, could
Yep.
that make you easier to be found or searched?
Absolutely. Yeah. Call me Sue at this phone number. The other thing that you want to do is in your interests section, which is down at the bottom of your profile, no one goes there anyway, put misspellings of your name or different spellings of your name. That's what I've had to do because everyone spells my name Vivica, and so you can't find, or you didn't used to be able to find me under Vivica, now you can. And if you put the most common misspelling of your name in the maiden name field, that will help you get found too. But in most cases, if you put your nicknames or the misspellings of your name in the interest section, your profile will show up. Rather, they're looking for Sue or Susie. And LinkedIn is somewhat intelligent, so it knows the difference between Joseph and Joe, or Sue and Susie. But Elizabeth and Betsy, or you go by your middle name, you're actually John Bobby Smith, and you go by Bobby. All of those you can add in the maiden name field in the interest section. And I love what you just said. Crystal, to put that directive in your summary section. I wouldn't put it at the bottom though. I'd lead with that, right? Hey, please feel free to reach out to me, Susie at this phone number or this email address or this website, and then they know to reach out to you. I get that all the time. Like, do people call me Viv or Vivica, or Lord knows they call me everything else too. So great question, super question.
Great. Okay, and from Alexandra, how do I search for business outside my networks? Very simple, Alexandra. Just reach out to eGrabber and we will find you a solution. Okay, and one more question from Jay. So I don't have time or talent to blog. Try to use content curation to stay connected with potential clients over long sales cycle. What are some tips to maximize the effectiveness of this strategy?
Oh, super question. So I'm I'm actually doing a whole program on content marketing with Publisher with Roger C. Parker, who's written about 100 e-dummies or for dummies books. But the short answer is use Pulse. So LinkedIn has its own newsreader called Pulse, and it's under interests. So if you go to the top bar of your profile and see interests and drop down, it says Pulse. And there is a ton of content there that you can curate. And you can also do search if you in the basic search box. There's a drop down on the left-hand side. You can also search on posts on a particular topic, and then there's some other ninja tricks, but I'm going to save those for the course. But you can find information and curate it through updates, or you could gather 4 or 5 different articles on a particular topic that you think your audience is going to be interested in, and maybe get the author's permission first, but now that gives you another opportunity to engage with that author. And you don't have to email or message them, although if you have eGrabber, easy enough to do. You can just hit reply in the post itself and start a conversation with the author, or get influencers. I get asked all the time for a quote here or a quote there, and so all the time people are writing posts with quotes from different influencers, and those are great because you don't have to be a great writer. You just have to go, hey, want to know about content marketing? Here's some great tips from Vivica von Rosen and Roger C. Parker and John Smith and all the other authors and great authors and writers out there, and John White. And so it allows you to share content that you don't have to create because you might not be a good writer, and then you can link back to those individuals' profiles, and you bet that they're going to disseminate for you too, because when you share it in an update, you mention them and they're going to share it too, and now you might have an opportunity of becoming first level connections with them, and that increases amplification. So what a great question. You can absolutely become a curator as opposed to a creator of content. Super question. Thank you.
Wow. And one more from Gwen. What do you recommend for verbiage for connection requests to a prospect that you haven't yet met?
No, great question. And again, this one, and I'm going to answer, and then Adrienne, if you wanna contribute too.
Yeah, I would like to answer that one too.
Perfect. You're limited, depending on how you reach out and connect to someone, to 300 characters. Now, if you save them as a contact, go into your connections and invite them to connect from your connections tab, you can do more than 300 characters. But considering that in most cases you're limited to 300 characters, I was researching content marketing experts on LinkedIn. You showed up really high in the results. Would love to connect. I admire what you do. Would love to connect. LinkedIn thinks we should know each other. Would love to connect. Hey, it looks like we both know John Smith. Isn't he the awesomest guy? Did you see he just graduated with his MBA? Would you like to connect? So very casual, very peer-to-peer. Do your research, and keep it short and concise is my response. And then Adrienne?
Well, first of all, I advise people not to ask yes or no questions. Would you like to meet is a no-no. What's the chance we could meet over coffee? What's the chance we could have a 10-minute phone conversation? How convenient would it be for you and me to have a 10-minute phone conversation or meet in person? But if you ask yes or no questions and you get a no, there's nowhere you can go from there. So you really want to write down a couple of open-ended questions, usually beginning with adverbs, except don't use why because it's considered defensive and offensive. What, how often, what, when would be a good time for us to meet? That's different from, is Tuesday at 10 a good time for you? That's a yes or no question. When would be a good time for us to meet? Would you prefer Tuesday at 10 or Thursday at 2? So you want to school yourself in open-ended questions, and those open-ended questions will serve you well on LinkedIn also, not just for person-to-person contact.
Yep.
Okay, we just have time for one last question, and that's from Crystal.
Okay. Look at that. We've kept, almost every 2/3 of the people are still here. Thank you, guys.
And how do you respond to people who want to connect and use the generic message to connect? Do you inquire why they want to connect or ignore?
Yeah, that's so many good questions. So when someone invites you to connect, you can always just you never have to accept an invitation. And there are a lot of people I'll just delete or even report as spammers because they're so obvious. But yeah, you can hit the reply button and say, thank you so much for the invitation. I really appreciate that. Could you tell me why you want to connect? And then if they respond and give you a good answer, awesome, let's connect. Usually scammers will never respond. So then you're like, fine, I'm going to delete that. So yeah, you can absolutely hit the reply. You can also look at their profile first and make sure. The problem is most people don't even realize that you can customize a message. So you don't want to exclude them or ignore them just because they're using the default invitation. LinkedIn, I don't understand why LinkedIn does something. So now when you do a search on LinkedIn and you hit the connect button, you don't even, in some cases, you don't even have the opportunity of saying how you know the person and customizing it. It just sends the invite. And there are different areas, people you may know, people who viewed your profile, where LinkedIn just automatically sends the invite. So people might not know better, or it's kind of difficult to customize the invite from your iPhone or your mobile device. So people might not know better. So don't automatically exclude them just because they've done that. But do take a second to ask them, hit reply and say, why did you invite me to connect? Or do a little research and make sure they're a good connection for you.
So that's about it. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very, very much. Many thanks for joining in this webinar today. And I'm sure you've definitely taken away a lot from this, from our eminent speakers. Thank you, Viveka. Thank you, Adrienne. So I see social selling does not have to be very complicated when you come down to it. So social selling is nothing more than developing a meaningful relationship with your prospects that you want to work with. So I wish we could have answered all your questions that we have here, but nevertheless, that being said, we would do it on your personal email when we send you the link of this recording of this webinar. Okay, so once again, many thanks, and my best wishes to all the attendees, to you, Viveka, and Adrienne, and Clinton. Thank you very much, and have a great day ahead.
And
Bye-bye.
thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Reach out to us. There's our email addresses. Email us any questions we didn't answer. Make sure to reach out to Adrienne. She's the bomb. You too can be where I am today if you reach out to Adrienne. Just kidding. But go on. Go to your lives. Go to your work. We'll see y'all later.